This video contains spoilers for the first 2 episodes of Maul Shadowlord. I'm not going to do an intro because I'm not boring. Here we go. Maul Shadowlord has just dropped on Disney+. I wasn't really expecting too much going into this. I thought it was going to be pretty crap, to be honest. Even though a lot of what Disney has done has actually been quite good, I do get a little nervous just because of the trilogy that they messed up so badly. I'm actually quite impressed with Maul Shadowlord. I like it quite a lot. It feels like Star Wars. It feels very much like it's set in that world, whereas things like the Book of Boba Fett didn't really feel very much like Star Wars to me. But this has the grungy underworld feel. It does it very well. I was a little concerned going into it that we would have to wait until like the end of the 2nd episode to see Maul do anything cool. Yeah, I was wrong on that one. We do see him do something pretty cool pretty much within the first 5 or 10 minutes. And the really good thing about it is it actually uses Star Wars music. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but during Rise of Skywalker I was sat there the whole time thinking, you've got this whole vast array of soundtracks you can be using, and instead you want to make new ones that aren't very good. I like that when Maul comes out of the ship it uses Duel of the Fates rather than trying to come up with something new, because to me that's a very iconic soundtrack, and if I'm honest, I pretty much consider it Maul's theme at this point. I'll die on that hill. Duel of the Fates is Maul's theme tune. Some of John Williams' finest work. Something I am quite pleased with is the side characters are actually relatively interesting. I thought they'd be a bit crap. I mean, this Jedi is not really that interesting to me. Seemingly her master does seem to be quite interesting. I thought this guy was Force sensitive the moment he appeared on the screen. He seems to have that Zen-like wisdom, and in episode 2 we do see him do some pretty cool Force stuff. So he's a very interesting character to me. I think we'll see a lot more of him. I hope they don't mess him up. Something I am considering while watching this is that I wish this was live action. It's the perfect series to be live action. We've only actually seen Maul in live action twice, once in The Phantom Menace and once in the Han Solo movie, where he has a cameo. I would like to see him in live action again, please. I think one thing that I like about the original trilogy is the use of puppets everywhere, and this show has a lot of aliens in it, and I just wish they'd made it live action so we could get some really cool puppets going. I do understand that these days CGI is much cheaper, and that's what they base their decisions on. CGI is one of those things a lot of people think it's super expensive. It's really not that expensive. Not as expensive as compared to building sets and hiring actors and doing all that stuff. I like the way Maul is up to his usual games of trying to find an apprentice. I'm surprised there's been no mention of Kenobi. Maul is obviously always obsessed with finding Obi-Wan. This show is going a different route. I think Maul is more interested in Darth Sidious in this show. Currently in canon, there's no meeting between Sidious and Maul after the Clone Wars ends. I think that could be interesting, but if I'm honest, I think the show is heading for a Vader vs Maul finale. It has already been renewed for a season 2, so if we're going to see Palpatine, I think that's when it will be. To see a show renewed for a season 2 before season 1's aired is unusual. There are a few times it's happened before, but I hope that means Disney are very sure of this working. I don't want to see this show suck and then know we're getting a season 2. The plot of Maul's underground crime world being against him is kind of interesting. It seems as though a lot of people have made deals with him and then gone back on them, and now he's understandably pissed. I imagine we'll see him do some fairly brutal Darth Maul stuff. I don't really see how this show comes to a satisfactory ending, because we know how Maul's character ends. I guess the only way it really can end is if Maul ends up in the state we find him in Rebels. The episodes did contain a few car chase scenes, and while these aren't longed out or exaggerated, I don't really care for them. I feel as though car chase scenes belong really in James Bond, and they don't really have any place in Star Wars. As I've gotten older, I have become less interested in flashy fighting scenes, and more interested in story building. I'm not saying I don't want the flashy fighting scenes, but ideally we'll have like 10% flashy fighting scenes and 90% story building. I think the show does get the balance quite right. It gives me hope for the next episodes. I only hope it carries on in the same form it started, and if it does, we'll be in for a good little spin-off. All of the animated stuff Disney does seems to be quite good. I liked the final season of Clone Wars, I liked Bad Batch, I liked Visions, and I liked, well, this so far. You know, all of the animated stuff seems to be quite good, and to be honest, anything off the big screen seems to be okay. So I'm quietly optimistic about the future of this one. I don't know if I'm going to make a video on it every week, because there's a lot coming out that I want to make videos on at the moment. The Boys comes out this week, Invincible has another episode this week, so I may not make a video on this every week, but if it drops an absolute banger episode like Invincible did, I probably will make a video on it. Get lost.